spring, summer, autumn, winter, and again spring. And I was thinking Professor Zoughari was with us in summer, now is autumn. So let's be in the spirit of Kinky Duke movie, and let's say again winter, spring, and again spring. Just to have this opportunity to share with Dr. Zoughari this knowledge. Probably you know his activity, you know his books, or you have prepared his activity as a researcher with a Ph.D. at INALCO, Paris, and also it's a very, very good mixture between practitioner and researcher. So I think it's the most fortunate thing an academic may acquire, to be practitioner and researcher in the same time. Also, so I thank you very much for accepting to share with us this evening, and also thank you, Professor Cristian Laiber, for being also our guest at the Faculty of History. So we have here, yes, we have the books of Dr. Zoughari, and then the title. Yes, I feel very, very humble looking at the title. So many concepts you see, non-verbal communication, body language, visual sign, and classical martial art. I remember yesterday during a seminar, Mirela explained us a lot about what means classical martial traditional art and what are the modern martial art. It's a very interesting discussion, and I invite for the next time Professor Kacem, if I may, Kacem, to have a debate about what means new and what means old in the martial art, because I think it's very, very interesting, very important. And I think also today's debate about body language and verbal communication will bring us also to the, my old Cartagena, what is the relation between tradition and modernity? Because I think what is the relation between the traditional movement in the Middle Age period and how this movement in martial arts changed through the time. The new time, the new media, and the new influences changed this body attitude. Also, I was thinking, what is the relation during the historical period and time between body and mind in martial arts? What means body? What means to communicate with? What is the use of the body? Because the movement, you see, is using the body. I was thinking, I will say like that for the beginning of the presentation, because trying not to transmit anything through my gestures. Because usually when we discuss, this is a non-verbal communication, and I was thinking, how could we discuss in words about something which is not words? How can we put in words a movement? How can we describe a movement? And also thinking that the martial art, probably for the practitioners, it's very important. It's very important to know this language, because I think this is a way to communicate, to disguise your own intention, or to reach to the intention of the opponent. Also, I think this body language could be a way to deceive or to manipulate the opponent. And I think it is very important to see how can we apply this in our real life. If we can learn something about this way to know what the others have in mind, to want to fight or to want not to fight with us, just looking at his attitude and gesture. And just to end my brief long introduction, I was thinking we have all of us, and me, of course, we have the imagination fueled by movies, fueled by everything is popular culture and everything. We are populated, let's say, by the samurai movies. And we have in mind the Last Samurai or Toshiro Mifune, this slow movement. We are discussing about the ballet. It's really a ballet, a choreography in the traditional art, or it's only our artistic desire for humanizing, for making more human this traditional art. Sometimes I think we have in mind master flying. You have seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. They are flying. Yeah, they are flying. Lucy Liu is flying. So we have this cinematic master in mind. My question is, what is the reality? What lies behind all this beautiful choreography, all this beautiful ballet, and how this movement has changed in time. And at the beginning, we have prepared a blasphemy. As I told you, we prepared a blasphemy, but me and Mirela, I thank you also to Mirela for all his help. We assume everything will happen with us after these 3 minutes of blasphemy. So please look 3 minutes from Kill Bill, Quentin Tarantino.
Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords. You mean I'm able to fight like a samurai? But you can't be style like a samurai.
I mean, honestly, I prefer watch the movie right now. You know, when you start like that, I don't like to end up the movie.
Tomorrow we can organize.
Once again, thank you very much. So it was a pleasure to be here second time. So thank you for the invitation and the choice. So like I said, I'm not a professor, I'm just a researcher. And this time we're going to work on the movement, and of course there is a lot of questions. First of all, just a few things about Kill Bill. The scene is great. And then if you look at this in a reality, she has a beautiful kimono, but it's impossible to move in this world with a kimono like that. It's snowing, so really cold, really cold. She will slide for sure. Even if she removes her shoes, it's impossible. If you just have a little bit of the eyes, you will see that the moment where they pose together, it's, let's say, real swirl, but not sharp. This is for the first picture. And then when they engage, it's not a real swirl, it's a shinai, it's a bamboo with aluminium paper, and it's impossible to fight like this in the reality with katana. It's impossible. Why? Because at the moment the two katanas are going to get in shock like this, they're going to get stick inside, because the edge, which is the dangerous part, is also weak. So once they get stick like this, like when you take two knives and you try like this, it's impossible. But it's choreography, it's beautiful, it doesn't sweat, the Japanese doesn't sweat. I mean, she's not Japanese, she's Lucy Liu. She's not Japanese, even, I mean, you could see she learned at least for 6 months to act like a Japanese, like a woman. Like a Japanese woman, the way she holds the sword, etc. But 90% of the movement are impossible in real life. But it's a choreography, it's a movie, it's nice. I mean, it's entertaining. There is a part in classical martial art, there is a part, and this is very strange, because there is a moment where you have to demonstrate your skills in front of people. What kind of people, if they are warriors, that's for another topic. Let's come back to the topic of today. Is so I'm going to try, you know, that all together we're going to do like a trip in the history in order to understand how the movement has started and everything. So as you can see here, this is the first picture that shows pretty much things. The first thing on the top here right now is a copy of Okami's Mise Okami Densho. It's written in the 15th century, actually, 1563. It's called the Kage Mokoroku. It's the first in Japan. The first in Japan where you have what you have, it's called a Kage Mokoroku. It's like you will be able to see here. It's a kind of a scroll like this, a roll, and on that there is painting called Ebokuro, where you have someone who's going to, for the first time, sketch the image of the movement. And on the top, the two top, this is different kind of Mokoku. You can see there is different kind of draw. Some have skills, some have less, some try to do just some details. The top is Tombo A. It's like the butterfly. This tombo A, it's butterfly draw. Why butterfly? Because the butterfly is translucent, so it's like you want to show the inside of the structure. Finally, down on the top, it's maybe you can see with the armor, and this is pretty much a modern picture of what the movement is. So just by looking a little bit the attitude, you can see there is difference between all this and that picture, but we're going to see this more in the details. First of all, what you need to understand that it's in Japan. No matter what the discipline, if we talk about ikebana, which means the floral arrangement, if you talk about the tea ceremony, chanoyu or sado, if you talk about theaters, no, kabuki, if you talk about etiquette, if you talk about, for example, blacksmith, the way, for example, blacksmith is going to do his work, his katana, any kind of art in Japan starts from a certain physical attitude. A body attitude. Even the calligraphy, it's not just the drawing, the way you write, it's the way you hold the brush, the way you stand, and the way you write down. So automatically here, in all those arts, you can see that the pivot, the principal axis, is the body. And for someone who practices for a warrior, a bushi or Hororufu, from 14th century to 16th century and even after, when we have, for example, the money, when we have, for example, the social level to have access of painting, drawing, study Zen, and at the same time access to a certain master of fighting technique, he's going to try to melt everything into one vector, one axiom. It's the capacity from one movement to do everything. And this is something very important, for example, in the case of a warrior. When you're a warrior of a certain level, you need to be, of course, good in horsing, équitation, what we call Bajutsu in Japanese, équitation, and of course archery. This is the two first things, and hunting with falcons. That's a few things that a warrior should be able to do. At the same time, he needs to know how to use the spear, different range of spear, different kind of albar, naginata. He needs to be able to use long katana. He needs to be able to use any kind of short weapon, but at the same time, he knows how to run, how to swim. Well, Jason Bourne. He needs to be the Jason Bourne at that time, and at the same time, very good in information, spying, being able to read the information, being able also to lead people on the field. If he's a general, or if he's a lieutenant, or a captain, he needs to understand the rules of war, strategy, tactics. In Japan, we call this Buge Juhappan. It's the 18th discipline of military art and technique. So as you can see, you need to be polyvalent. And if I said, for example, 18 discipline nowadays, it's a little bit difficult. Where is the common point, the common link between being on a horse and swimming, being in a horse and shooting, running and spear? The common point with strategy, spying, and using the body. That's a very difficult thing, very difficult task. That's the reason why people who were involved, warrior, because you have different kind of warrior. You have really the warrior well versed in strategy, tactics, art of fighting, vision of the game, politics, etc. Then you have some that are very good just in politics, some just in negotiation, some just in lead people on the battlefield, some people just to come on, and some people to bring the rice and the sushi. So you need to understand how things work in this. And some were polyvalent. They could work in different kind of things. And I'm going to, right now, the main things I'm going to talk here is about this polyvalent. How can you be polyvalent for one movement? And this is where my study starts. In order to reach this level, first you start from what you have nowadays, what is modern. And what is modern? What is modern right now is everyone here, I'm sure you have an idea, an image of what judo, karate, kendo, aikido, everything, do. You have an image of how it looks like, even boxing, for example, even wrestling. And when you know that the history of those judo, karate, kendo, aikido, what we call gendai bujutsu or gendai budo, which means gendai is modern in Japanese, modern martial art. Let's use the common word. Budo doesn't mean martial art, bujutsu doesn't mean martial art, but this can be for another explanation for the etymology of the word, but let's use the word martial art right now because everyone will understand. It is a modern martial art mainly born between the 19th century to now. All those kind of things are born between the beginning of the 19th century and even if judo is well known and karate, yes, still they are very new and they are mainly born into the influence of Western influence, a way of using the fact that we have in Europe, for example. And that's very important to keep this in mind because a lot of people are going to say traditional karate, traditional judo, traditional aikido, etc., etc. This traditional thing is the culture of Japan, etc. Yes, but not completely. It is hybrid. So, by looking, for example, practitioners who do karate, judo, kendo, and aikido, you see that when they're young, when they're in the 20s, until 30s, they are pretty strong, physically speaking. Alright? And step by step, when they reach 40 to 50, cannot use the body they used to practice. The way they used to use the body, for example, when they were young. And from here, that's the first point. And then, when you look at them, they always complain from the same wound in the body. Mainly hip, knees, ankle. From now, you already have an idea. You see the common pain, the common problem. They are all the same. And then you look at, for example, people who run, athletes, boxer, wrestler, which is even more modern than judo, karate, and aikido. People who are doing sports in professional way, even soccer, basketball, etc., etc., they all suffer about the same principle. So you ask yourself, why? If they suffer from the more or less the same pain, which is always the pain, the knees, the back, it's maybe they use the body the same way. And they use the body the same way. If you don't complain when you're young and you complain when you're older, means that when you practice those movements during your youth, something is off, something has been lost. Now that's the first thing. And you can see when you hear any kind of professor from Romania to France to Spain to Germany, from UK you go to the States, you go even to North Africa, which have been developed more later in classical or in sports martial art. You even go to South America or even to Russia or China, they all use the same word. You need to use the hip, you need to go with the hip. All the power is from the hip. You have this, for example, in tennis, use the hip. In soccer, use the hip. Hip is the centrifugal force that allows you to develop the power. I'm sure everyone using the hip is something very common. Okay? Everyone, the judo man would say he's different than the karate man. Karate man would say I'm different than aikido man. But they all suffer from the same pain. And the movement, the power of the movement, proceed from the same point. So here we have the same point. Now you have to dig a little bit more. Let's see if master of the mat, Mirela-Luminiţa, suffer of the same principle. Problem is, it's very difficult to find scroll of all masters who say, back in the days, don't practice like this, it brings the pain. And we never said that, unfortunately. Or you need to have a good student, so the master, I see the way he walks, you have a problem on the knees, don't copy him. This, now, you don't have. And you need to dig in another way. You need to dig, for example, how the process for a master to become a master, to become one of what we call a founder of a yuha, it happened. First thing is that most of those masters who wrote those scrolls, they wrote them when they're getting old, when you have time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying when you're old you have time, because you're going to see it's going to be very, very special. Old means new in certain way, especially when you talk about classical martial art. Old means wise, old means you have the time to see things clearly. So if we could have this when we're young, it's good, but the process is life is a different process. So anyway, so you look at those masters, they more or less build, create, open the yuha when they are between 40 to 50. And when they reach 60 and 70, which means that we are talking about people in the 14th and 16th century during the, how we call Sengoku Jidai, is a very important period in Japan where it's the war from everywhere. So imagine being, of course, if you hide yourself in the mountain, it's very easy to live long life. Back in the days, I don't know, but how can you reach a certain age, open your yuha, your own school, your own style, have the time to write down and explain things, and at the same time face young warrior, fearless, strong, more powerful than you, and you can knock him down, you can knock them down very easy. So this is something that is very interesting, because no matter what you have in Japan, it's always an old master that met a young, strong samurai, of course, a young, strong samurai in the 14th century, 15th century, 16th century, until the middle of 16th century, a A young samurai means what? A professional killer with many dead people in his closet, which means he has a resume. The rank, back in the day, the rank is how many heads? 10 heads? You're serious. 1 head? Immature. Lucky. 10 heads, and the way you cut them, I know it sounds awful, but that was the time. So, the question is, how a man with a certain age, between 60 to 70, even 50, can knock down someone who is 25, 30, when we know that if martial art is based, if the movement is based on the power of the youth, the muscle, it's impossible that someone who is 60, 70 can face someone who is younger. I hope you agree. Logically, biomechanically, in a sports way, someone who is 60 cannot run faster than someone who is 20. Just run after your kid and you will see. So you need to wait. When they arrive, you catch them. So here it is. That's the first thing. How those people, in an old way, using weapons, this is very dangerous. One mistake, you die. How they can do it? And this is the thing. If they can do it, and you look nowadays, judoka, they can do it, but when you get older, it doesn't work the same way. Something has been lost, something is different. So this is how I start the study. You search first from the pain and the limit point. Then you check in the past if they had the same things, and you see they didn't have the same things. So we're going to start like that. Like I said just before, for high-class warrior, if you talk about Miyamoto Musashi, for example, it's not really a high-class warrior, just a warrior. But Yasuo Minenori, for example, Yasuo Ichusai, they are very famous warriors of Japan, who were also dying of their own place, they were also involved into the shogunate of Tokugawa, and they are known as people of war, people who fight, and of course, intelligence, service, etc., etc. How those people look the use of the body. So what is very important again is from the 14th century to the 16th century, the way to look the use of the body is polyvalent. Why? Because you need to survive on the battlefield. Survive on the battlefield, of course, you can run and hide yourself, that's also survive, but I'm talking about different kind of way of survive. Survive on the battlefield is, you have, for example, you're on your horse, and unfortunately they kill your horse, you fell down. You need to keep on going. Then you have your spear, but your spear is cut into pieces. You need to use what you have. Swerve. Then you swerve, and you lost it, or you don't have it, or it's broken on the battlefield. Then you need to use your hand, or then you need to run, and then you need to swim, or then you need to maybe go for all those areas. And sometimes you need to sit, you need to write down, because you like calligraphy, or you need to practice Zen, or you like also tea ceremony, or you like no theater. So, all those high-class warriors, they had that chance to develop a nice, what we call a global vision of the way of using the body. So they didn't know biomechanics, they didn't know medicine, they didn't know all those kind of things. They had a way to use the body, very interesting. And where it come from? It needs to come from somewhere, from the use of the arm. Oh, here it is. You need to understand that a lot of Japanese and a lot of people who practice martial art, they love to say that what they practice comes from the God. They have been taught from the God of Japan. Now imagine that God of Japan come and teach you martial art. Even if you smoke, it's impossible. I see this in Japan many days, many times. You know, our art comes from the kami Japanese is like on TV. Oh, really? And which one? This one. Did you come every night to teach you? Because if he say yes at that moment, I'm asking what he drink or what he smoke. Huh? What you need to understand here is, in Japan, of course, there is a process, and in the 10th century, in the Kamakura area, so right now it's Muromachi. Muromachi is the 14th century. So Kamakura is just the period before. The period before in Japan, what we have the warrior who took the power with the family of the Minamoto. And when they took the power, they're going to hold the power, the effective power. The emperor will be just like a symbol, more or less. Of course, we're going to have change into the history, but this is not what we really concerned about. The warriors are going to hold the power until the end of Edo area, which means they control everything, they look at everything, and they're going to influence everything, and at the same time they're going to take influence from monk, from different doctrine, religious doctrine, etc. And during those times of Kamakura, of many war is the experiment field for experiments, experience, any kind of weapon. So what we have before Muromachi, it's very, very, how can I say, not detailed. We have, of course, account of battle, chronicle of battle, but it is not enough to know something very specific in case of using the body. Very difficult. But we need to wait Muromachi, where it's a very beautiful period, where a lot of beautiful period, a very interesting period where many things are going to happen in different kind of fields. We see also at this period where the Japanese strategy, as a strategy, far away from the Chinese influence that's going to happen. What we call the Japanese hero, it's at that time. And during this Muromachi area, you're going to have the three primary currents. The first one is called Katori Kashima. And Katori Kashima, there are two sanctuaries of Shinto where few families who had the protection of those 10 sanctuaries needed to, because we protect, they needed to know weaponry. And at that time, the main weapon is spears. On the battlefield, spear, long weapon, and archery. You don't use the sword. Very, at the last moment, sword is too short. You need long weapon. That's very important. And the founder of those two like Tenshin Shoren, Katori Shintoryu, Kashima Shinkageryu, and Kashima Shintoryu, they are part of the same group. We call this the Katori Kashima tradition. Then you have the Kage, the number one, Kage, that's another tradition. It says the flow of the shadow, or the flow of what is hidden. Then you have the flow of Nenryu, the flow of the intention. And just the last one, which is connected to the name, it's not really like a current, but it's known, is Chujoryu, because the founder of the Chujoryu learned from the name. So from those three currents, everything is going to start in Japan. Everything. And what is very interesting is the founder of each Ryuha died at least between 70 to 80 years old. Sometimes they say 100 years old. As a historian, if he's hiding, it's possible. With food and electricity, Wi-Fi, possible. But I don't think so. Especially you need to understand when you're a founder of a school, you're famous. Because you have knowledge. So your name is going to call any kind of young guy who wants to prove himself. And it's known that when you take age, you don't want to fight anymore. You avoid the fight. So in a time where avoid the fight is 50% impossible, most of the time you change name and you go to another area. That happened. But here it's not the case. We're talking about people who die approximately between 70 years old to 80 years old. And in the 14th century reached that age, even in 1573, it is a kind of miracle. For example, all those masters, everyone knows the movies, The Seven Samurai? Seven Samurai, yes. If you don't know the Seven Samurai, you know the Seven Benediction? It's the copy of the Seven Samurai. There is an episode, a moment in the movies where they are looking to hire a warrior in order to protect the village. And so they go with I think it's Takikimura in the movies, I think, if I remember well. In the American version is Yul Brunner and Steve McQueen. So they go in the pub, the saloon, sorry, and in Japan it's a restaurant, and they're looking for strong warrior. And the Mexican, the American version says, oh, this guy is strong, he has many scars. And the other said, no, we need to find the one who did the scar. He's more strong. And actually this, the extreme, the same, the words, word by word, have been copied from the Akira Kurosawa movies. They said the same things in Japanese. And Akira Kurosawa, you know where you find that? The founder of the second school called Kashimashi Toyo is known as Skara Bokuden in Japan. Is like a saint. I mean, I don't know if you can become a saint in the after world, but they call this a Kensei, means a saint. And this man, according to the people who know him, was known to have at least the body full of scars because on the battlefield he was known of this. And when some people ask him, "Oh, you're a great fighter. You have many scars. You survived many." The answer to them, you should find the one who did the scar. So the one who put me down. Of course, they die all still alive. But that was the main idea. Look always who is at the origin of. And here, so Kakushin Toyo Shikagyu, the founder of this Ryuha, they are known for what on the battlefield? To be very excellent with speed, naginata, and any kind of weapon forces. And nowadays, those Ryuha mainly do only kenji, only after sword. Of course, they have spear, bow, etc., but it doesn't focus too much on that. They focus only on kenji. Another thing is, when you are on the battlefield, if, for example, your right hand, and you touch on the right hand, you cannot say, "Stop, I'm touched on the right hand, I can't fight with the left. Can we do it after I recover?" Nah. If you fight on the battlefield, you need to be able to use your two arms, no matter what. Why? Because you have to survive. So, instinctively, with the instinct, you develop what we call obedience. You need to be able to use your two arms. So, when you are a warrior of that class, you need to know your weakness, change your weakness in strength, and understand the weakness of your strength, which means use the weapon from both sides. And this obviously is something that doesn't exist in Japan. And even as human beings, if you right hand, you of course amplify the use of the right hand rather than the left hand. That's why she's always jealous. Each trying to try her, it never works the way the right hand. So, in classical martial art, because you need to survive, because the imperative is to stay alive, you have to use your two hands. So you do legs. So you develop a way of looking your body, very interesting. Another thing is, those warriors live in a time of warrior. How can I practice in a way the people around me cannot see it? Because the practice is the key. And if you practice with students, they're going to understand the way you move, then they can kill you. You give them the chance to kill you. And in that time, 14th century, human relationship was quite very simple. I hate warrior. Not like between black and gray. So you need to trust. For that, any movement, any kind of aspect of life is devoted to use the body in a certain way. From that, something is going to come step by step, and what's called economy of movement. So economy of movement means economy of energy. How those masters find this? How? How, for example, by using many weapons, they reach the level of using no weapon. How, from the use of the weapon, they can see the direct connection by using a brush, for example, or just by holding a tool, or just by walking to go to see a friend, or just by, when they look, someone who's doing theaters, someone who's doing calligraphy, on what they have, they look a way to become better in their art, in their technique, and they're going to copy this in order to make it better. How? You will see, it's very interesting. Now we see more bigger, the way of using the body, and as you can see, the way of using the body, the first thing you can see the stroke, and you don't need to have a PhD to understand that, because all of you will be able to see it. Most of the position you can see, they are lower on the legs. Don't you see that? You see like it's bent, so they are lower on the legs. And sometimes you can see that the chest, the back, is leaning forward, and all the way maybe on one leg or the other one. I think you can see this in general. Why? Because you need to wear an armor. And this is the point. If you see how a Japanese armor is, It's not like what we have in Europe. It's the worst thing in life. If you just try to wear, the armor moves from everywhere. It is not fixed, and you cannot turn. You cannot use your hip. The armor is going to condition you to walk, to stand according a certain way. Why? Because if you don't do it, well, the armor becomes your own castle. You know, like you can't move. It's like you fell down. It's very difficult to stand up. So, what is created to protect you is at the same time the danger that's going to kill you. Plus, sometimes the Japanese fleas here, they are moving. So when you run, they move from right to left. So if you run fast by turning your hip, it comes to your face. Try you will see that. Same for the helmet. It's a different helmet. The helmet is tied to the chin. So you cannot turn your head and do things like that. Helmet is 4, 5, 6 kilos. If you reach in high class, 10 kilos. Better to be poor sometimes. And with this, so when you move, if for example you wear the armor and you bend a little bit like this, you fell down. So you cannot go like that. You cannot allow yourself to watch by using your neck like this. So automatically the armor limits the body. Are you agree with this? Thank you. Even if you don't agree, try an armor, you will see you agree fast. Very fast. So from that, you see one thing. In all those movements, you can see that the space between the legs is wide. So you need to go low and wider. Two things, and I'm sure you will understand. Why? When you wear an armor, the risk of falling down are heavy, because the armor is heavy, first. Because if you fell down, to stand up is going to take time, and you are very weak at the moment. The armor, and when you fell down, and the armor is on you and you don't see nothing. That's the first thing. So, in order to reduce the risk of the armor, you're going to go lower. Like this, you reduce the risk of falling down. And by going lower, you gain instability. The problem of the stability is you can't move too much. So when you stable, now you need to move. After fighting, it's always moving, to moving fast if possible. This is the idea of flow who's coming. So you need to lower yourself, but if you lower yourself and you back lean, and you have an armor, what happened? You fell. So if you do this during a fight and you losing your balance, you fell, you die. And at the same time, if you lean too much, you're going to overuse your back. And by using your upper back, because you have the armor, the pain is going to feel it directly. So you need a proper way to stand, a proper way to maintain your spine and your knees. At the same time, you need the knees enough flexible in order to go low and to run fast. And at the same time, understand the reason of the armor. It's a lot of things. A lot of things. Plus, the armor is not fixed on you, she's moving. You have part of the armor is moving. Next time I will bring an armor and everybody will try to receive it. Because like this, you're watching me like this. But you don't imagine. Plus, you know, with the armor, you don't have, it's not the Iron Man suit. There is no air conditioning, there is no Jarvis talking here. You don't have a radar that's going to tell you when someone attacks from the back. Not at all. The armor is really a beast. Very, very difficult. So, here, this is the first mention, and that's very interesting. Most of the masters, the founder of Oriental, they fight with the armor. And when they fight with the armor, they survive. I survived to the conflict. You remember, here when I moved like that, it was difficult to save my life because of this. I was lucky, but maybe because I used the armor in this way, etc., etc. So the use of the armor is going to let in your mind an experimentation. You're going to have to feel something, more than feel, you're going to sense something based on an actual fighting, on an actual experimentation, an actual experience of life. And from that, you're going to remove, you're going to create few steps that are going to allow you to use the armor, the more useful, and at the same time, to be very effective, because the armor is heavy, but it's also a problem. How can I use the heaviness of the armor in order to be more fast, without using explosivity, muscle things, because I'm I'm tired. Each time I use the armor, the way of breathing is different. Plus, you need to add the emotional tension of the fight, losing your life, keeping your life. All this together, it's a lot. So you need to find something that's going to allow you to recreate the use of the body when you have an armor. And the only way is to understand when you hold the armor, when you have the armor, how you hold the weapon. Here, you have the kurai, so kurai in Japanese. Now this is very important. I'm going to explain you this. You see the kanji here? I write on the top, structure of the body, kurai or kamae. All of you, I'm sure you have heard about kamae when you do judo, karate, kendo, aikido, kamae. Kamae, the kanji of kamae, kama et lu, it's a verb, and you write this like that. And I don't know if you can see. Yes. Sorry. This is for adaptation. Kama et lu. I'm sure here you can see that. Alright, everyone can see the kanji. So here you have the ki, means the tree. And this, you know where it is used nowadays? It is used for when you want to do a conference, you use this kanji, it's called ki, to talk. So kama-e actually, it's more like the structure of the tree, and it means the spirit attitude. So when we say kama-e means get ready, be ready. So in position, the word nowadays, the word we will use, for example, in Europe would be, in fencing, it's en garde. En garde, like the musketeer. Tomorrow morning at 4. And that's one thing. And here, the kanji here. Kurai is completely different. It's very interesting. I explained this last time. This is the first kanji, like that. And here you have two pieces. This one and this one. Alright? This, nowadays, I mean, you can have it like this. It's so the men, human being, people. This kanji, it's tatsu means to stand up, tachimasu, I'm standing up. So when you said shito ga tatsu, it's how a human being, how a man, a woman stand. How, for example, you stand on the ground. How are you branded? So the structure. So by kurai, we mean structure. But it's not only that. It means also the class level, the alignment. So it's not only just the way you stand here, it's also the way you stand in society, the way you stand in your job, the way you are. It's also the level, like the class, hiérarchisation, etc., etc. So it's a lot of things. Position, professor, associate professor, pizza deliverer, etc., etc. Right. And from here, you have those 5 articles that we call, here it's writing, in that case, it's a Shinkage Yuki I Den Shou, and here you have the, this is a Migake Hokukejo. Sorry. It's writing in very old Japanese, and the scroll stretched back, the 15th century. This has been written by Yakusuke Chisai. When you receive from Hidetsuna, all the transmission of Shinkage. And on this you have the 5 conditions, so we call this Migake. Migake is a very interesting. And like you just explained on the introduction, what does they mean by body? Very interesting, they use this kanji for body. And nowadays they use this kanji. And between the two, you use also more interesting kanji, this one. Bigger. Then you have also this one. Then you have this one. You need to know all of them when you do a PhD, especially on martial art, etc. They have many. So, what is the difference between this one, this one, this one, this one? This, it's not the body, it's the flesh. Muscle, everything that deals with the flesh. For example, if you said the Christ corp, that's the idea. This is mainly what we use in classical martial art. Very important. It's composed of two movements, two kanji, two pieces. This is the bones, and this is the youth. So you translate the body by the youth of the bones. So the way you use your body, use the youth of the bones. So the best aspect, the good aspect of your bones, the strength of your bones, etc., etc. It's very interesting. So, Migake, this is the sketch right in here. So, Shinkage-ryu, the first line, Shinkage-ryu, the name of the Ryu. Kiriai, the way of cutting. Kuden, Sho, Mokoto. And the second one, Midake no Gokejo no Daiji. So, the five articles or five conditions of using the body in art of fighting, based on the armor wearing. And this is the things you find on every classical martial art. They have this. More from Jujutsu to Kenjutsu to Sojutsu. Problem is, after there is some differences here and there. But we will talk about this later one day. Let's talk about those five articles. The first one, you don't need to know too much Japanese. I'm sure you recognize when it's writing like this. Look carefully. 1, 2, 3. Yes? You recognize? So you know Japanese. It's easy enough to control. 1, 2, 3. And then after we have 4. This is the 4. Try to recognize it a little bit. And 5. So the first one. Mi o shitomi ni nasubeki. The translation is, first, your body needs to be in profile. Profile. For some people, profile is this. For some people, the leg goes like that. For some people, profile is that. You need to be in profile. So it doesn't say what kind of profile. Complete profile. Why you need to be in profile? On the battlefield. Very easy. Same in fencing, same in Europe. When you are in profile, you minimize the surface of the attack. Vital points. Heart, groin, this, and like this. So that's the first thing you practice. So if, for example, you like Floyd Mayweather, the famous boxing guy, he has this way of fighting. That's why it's really hard to have him. And when you're very good in defense, you study the attack. From that you understand the famous word, the best defense is the attack. Because you're good in defense, which means you defense against any kind of attack. You understand that? So when you start to attack because you know to defense against any kind of attack, your attack is impossible to defend. So, first thing, in profile. In profile. So, imagine, you have an armor, which is very difficult to work with, and you need to be in profile with an armor. Even a Robocop doesn't work like that. It doesn't. So, you have an armor, you need to be in profile. Like this, the heart is protected, the groin is protected, and the armor, what we call the highlighted, this is the big part that protects the legs, will cover the legs like this. That's the first thing. So you need to be in profile. So when you have a spear, when you have a sword, you need to be in profile. Second thing, can you just press? These are the 5 conditions. You can see, for example, from the first draw to the second draw, you have a warrior in profile, and you have a spear, you have kusarigama, a shuriken, a kodachi, a bow. You can see that from one movement, from one body structure, all weapons can be done. No problem for that. Second thing is here, if we shift forward, it's the same. Now, why you need to be in profile? Because there is a very important word in classical martial arts, and you can use this in anything. The form follows the function. The form follows the function. Once again, the form follows the function. The form is to follow the function of the weapon. So if the weapon is straight, you need to move in a straight way like this. When you move with the weapon, you become like the weapon. You become one with the weapon. So at that moment, less energy, less strength. Very important. Second, here the four draw here, you see when you are on one line, spear, bow, wakizashi, kodachi, you make one. So what your movement is how? You attack and you protect at the same time, so you attack from a defensive position. That's the reason why, for example, if you watch movie like Braveheart or movie on Battlefield, they hold the spear and they always walk like that. If you walk like this, the heart is open. You can see, for example, in the Roman, where they fight. Here they have the shield and give like the Spartians. 300 for the full watch. Same aspect. You protect, you attack. You protect, you attack. So you can see that this exists where? Everywhere. It's not only Japan. Chinese, everywhere have this. Everywhere they have that kind of logic. And it's logical. When you scare, the first thing you do is to step back and to protect yourself. So, to minimize the opening, it is human. It is human. To minimize the fact that you're going to get hurt, this, everyone, I'm sure you have seen sometimes when someone, stop it, I'm scared. It's very natural to step back when you're scared. Now, if you step back in one line, you're lucky. If you step back into line, too many openings. The thing is, when you're on one line, the danger is this, to use the hip. Because when you do this, you become a target. And that's where the problem is. Can we come back just on the previous page? Thank you. So the first is the beginning profile. The second one is very interesting. It's your shoulder needs to be at the level of your opponent fist. Match the image. My shoulder needs to be at the level of your opponent fist. So if you hold the sword like this, or the spear like this, my shoulder needs to be at the level of his fist. So the Japanese is 1.60 meters back in the days. It's already small. If he's in Egypt, it's even worse. And imagine that. You have to face someone lower like that, with the armor. Imagine with the helmet like that. Psychological way, good point. Scary. Looks like you do it. So that's one thing that's very important. So you need to go very low with an armor and profile. Do you see how it's complicated? I mean, all the tension in the body, the position of the body, the biomechanics that's going to require the use of the tendon. Finally, sa ni ochi ni shite wadaken o tate ni shite sake. I'm talking about this one. This is very interesting. Now we're getting into the movement. Third, your body needs to be lower, like you sink. Like you sink. You need to move this like you sink. And he said, the hands needs to become like a shield. So what you hold, if this is the weapon, it needs to be like a shield. Completely in profile. Like this you minimize everything. So you need to be low and completely in profile behind your hand. So you need it's not this. You do this, and that's why we have certain kind of exercise like Mani Ryu. It's called Yadobe. When you reach a certain level, you have your master. Let's hope he loves you, because if you miss, it's over. You have a bow and arrow. Of course, there is a protection on the arrow. Okay? And you are like this, for example, where Misha is. He's the master. Misha is the master. I am the student. I am the student. I'm going to pass the examination. And the master, he never smiles. Shit! And here I'm like this with a bouquet. If your position is just a bit like that, it's over. You need to stay like that, and it goes with the. For real, you can find on the internet sometimes. Go, now they doesn't do it anymore. Students are not good enough. All the masters are good enough. So, even with the protection, if you don't do it correctly, and you receive it, it hurts. So this is just how the position needs to be, and this without armor. Here we're talking with the armor. See that? I hope you understand. So that's the thing. And finally, the number 4, mi o kakari saki no hiza. Saki no hiza is the front knees. Ni mi o motasete ato no hebira o hiraku koto. That's very interesting. He said, when, for example, you attack, your weight of your body needs to be completely forward. Completely. So the weight needs to be on your knees. Now, how deep on the knees? It's like the music. How deep is your love? You don't know. You need to go deep. Yes, look, honestly, I translate word by word. Put all your weight on your knees. And if you think, my knee hurts, I cannot do it, so I don't use now. Put your work on your knees. It doesn't talk about the feet. If you're on the toes, how, where, that's it. Good luck. They should write at the end of the scroll, good luck. Finally, so you need to put all your weight on the knees and open your back foot. So you're completely on one line. So with an arm on one line, like this, lower up, surf, like surf, without being on the water. It's impossible to, I mean, it is possible, you have to practice, of course. And finally, the last one, Shidari no Hiji o Kagame Zankuto. Never ever, like music of Mariah or Whitney Houston, blah, 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 never ever bend the left arm. I ask, where is the right arm here? Here talk about the right arm here. It's helpful in first down left arm, especially if you're right hand. So for example, if you hold the sword like this, most of the time that's how you are, see? Like for boxers, someone like that. No, this arm should never be bent. Why? He didn't say. He wrote this, he said, and good luck, you're good now. Come back to the next page. In the next page, you can see, for example, here, see the opponent, there is a big line, his shoulder is at the level of the fist. That's what we mean. Because when you go lower, your gravity center is more stronger. And any kind of sportsman understand that. When you are lower, you are stronger and you can go faster. Why? Because you use the weight of the body and not the strength. Not like, for example, the explosivity. You let your body fall, so it allows you to go faster without using strength. That's very clever. Back in the day, some people find this. They could not explain yet. They didn't have all the technical words, all the biomechanical knowledge, etc., etc. But they sense it. They experiment it through blood, friendship, etc., etc. And you can see also another point here, and not here. You can see, for example, all the way from the 40s, open here on the same line, level, and the two arms stretch. Like this. When you stretch your two arms, you remove the tension of staying like this. That's the first thing. The second thing, when you bend your arm, your opponent just needs to wait the moment you stretch. And this is the moment where it stops you. When the arms are like that and you move like this, he doesn't see this movement. So you reduce the possibility, you reduce the risk. Don't remove it, it's impossible, there is no risk for zero. You reduce, you minimize the risk that your opponent attacks you. Here what I'm talking to you is based on survival fight. That's where they do this. And finally, to become one with the weapon will allow you to use the weapon, the full function of the weapon. If it's a spear, you are one with a spear, 4 meters. If it's a sword, you use the curve, etc., etc. That's one form, one structure for multi-weapon. That was how they moved until Edo area, 16th century, and still again, this, for example, this is the way they do kendo. They're still moving, but what can you see here? You can see already they go on the toes. See? They go on the toes. The back is more like this. Why? No need armor anymore. We we use regular clothes, or maybe those kind of armor, very light. Nothing compared with a real armor. And very tight to your body. So the movement is going to change at that moment because you're far away from, first, the wall. Second, there is more and more dojo. They open, it's a peaceful time. So you have time to explain, you have time to do the things. And at the same time, people doesn't want to do work, they want to have fun. Martial art becomes more like a golf, soccer, etc., etc. People who practice martial art, they do it for fun. Of course, some people do it seriously, but they have fun too. So it's serious fun. And here, what happened? You don't practice anymore in the nature, on floor which are not flat, etc., etc. You start to have very beautiful place, flat floor, and you start to teach to different people, and you start to teach, which means you need words, which means you need to explain. And at that moment you have more students. So, and you get money. Before that, no dojo, one or two disciples, all professional killers. If they pay, they give you something, it's a loyalty. Everything is about secret. And if you do anything, I stab you on the back and it's over, I don't want to come to complain. And that's how it was working. It was very, very different. At that moment here, it's more about like, let's work, let's try to be close from real fighting because duel, everything are forbidden by the Japanese Bakufu. We need to find a way to get close to the fight. But at the same time, we need to limit the movement because we cannot attack with this, we cannot attack like that. So we're going to create armor and we're going to limit the strike. Limit the strike means limit the movement. Limit the movement means limit the use of the body. So you're going to have to develop only one side because you don't use the left side anymore. You're going to have to use only one side because you slide on the ground. You cannot move around. Same in fencing, same in anything. And then when we reach the Meiji area, so which is the beginning of the 18th century, where Japanese, for the first time, face the reality of a foreign country with the American, always the American by the way. They arrive with the very impressive ship, steamship, and they bring of course all the visual effect with them, big cannon, machine gun. Japanese, all the Portuguese martial art and so on. They didn't have electricity. 18th century, ladies and gentlemen, no electricity, imagine that. And suddenly electricity. Steamboat. And so what they decide, they are warriors. Warriors, like everyone, you believe you trust the strongest one. So they start to understand that if they fight with their own weapon and the way they use the body, it will never work. So what do you do at that moment? A very important, one of the most important phrases of the movie, Last Samurai, that came from Sun Tzu, Sun Shi, and you can find this in many, many ways. This is what Ken said to Tom Cruise. I'm learning from my enemy. You learn from your enemy, you learn from the strongest one. You learn his weakness, his strength, you copy his strength. This is what, for example, people who lost against Napoleon did, by the way. They study his methodology and way, and then they use it against him. And you know where he lose? Where he lost? He lost against his own way. Very important to learn against your enemy. So to your enemy. So this is the moment where they learn from the enemy and they understood that what they do doesn't work. And they need to change the government. They need to change everything. They need to change, for example, the way they look the world. They need, of course, to have a new industry and at the same time a new body. From that, the influence that comes from Europe, mainly the way of walking in the army, walking like this. This never really exists in Japan because you have the katana, you walk in a certain way according to the katana. Women walk according to the way they have the kimono with 4 steps. And the shoes were different. They used to have geta, completely different, or zori. According to the costumes and everything, they used to walk according to their own class. if they were noble, if they were warrior, merchant, etc., etc. From that, judo, karate, kendo, aikido, years and years after we were born, and we introduced the way of using the hip, for example, the way of using the body as a sport, because we need what we call a physical education that never existed in Japan. For example, the idea of warm-up exercise. How a warrior, a musashi, etc., etc., they do warm-up exercise. You think before a fight, just wait. I'm ready. It doesn't work like that, ladies and gentlemen. Never. So you need to find in the way you sit, in the way you walk, in the way you eat, in the way you talk to people, to be always ready to face the unknown. And this has been lost more and more. Because if you don't karate, kendo doesn't exist. And then during the time of nationalists of Japan, they start to explain that samurai spirit. But samurai never used judo, they never used karate, they never used aikido, kendo more or less, but it was already fencing for fun. That's a very important thing to check on the other one. Here again, for example, we come back to the first draw, and the first one here, this is classical martial art. And then this is Meiji, Edo-Arian. You see, you already start, you don't need, you won't be scared to get touched. So from profile, then you become a little bit like this. Your foot was on one line, is a little bit on the second line. One like this, you can go faster. And most of the movement here, it's very difficult to turn like that. Here, all the movement is to step forward, step backward, step forward, step backward. So very linear. When you're here, you can move always by protecting yourself. You are multi-movement, you run, you do everything. In case it's only like this, or only like that. Then finally, this is pretty much what you have nowadays, and maybe at the beginning, it's completely in two lines. Why? Because the idea is this idea of the center that I didn't talk before. They have an idea of the center that the center is always moving. So when you shift, the center of the weight of your body moves. Do you understand that? But with the influence of foreign country, the center is in the center. So you need to stay center like this, you're strong. The problem is when you're strong, it's difficult to walk. Then you need to use strength. And that's why everything that deals with the hip of movement are very important at that moment. On last rule, yes, thank you. This is what you have nowadays. So they have beautiful kimono, I agree. Looks like a samurai. They are very low, very high on their position. The way they hold the blade here is completely different. The bouquet they use is very light. No connection with the real blade. The weight of the blade, the weight of the weapon. You can even do this on wooden floor. We have no proof, no historical proof that most of the masters in the past used to practice on the wooden floor because dojo didn't exist. We used to practice everywhere. Life was a dojo. Everywhere you go, it's a dojo. Dojo in Japanese means the place where you follow the path. So if the earth is the path, it's better than just one place. And from here you can understand that a lot of things have been lost. If the master of the past have less wanted, less pain in the body, and they could use the body in a more economical way, with a very important range, and at the same time they were not limited in any kind of sports, any kind of movement, or any kind of discipline, and could see and enjoy a painting, a writing, well, you can be sure that something has been lost in translation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you appreciate it.
So, like this, and then after the lesson, I take profile, and I try to use.
There is no anyone on the back.
Thank you very much. And now to start our debate, I will invite Professor Cristian Laiber to share with us some of his experience in contemporary activity in martial arts.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will try to share with you a little episode in my life in martial arts. So I started in 1996 practicing martial arts. Of course, modern martial arts like Aikido, Karate. I met some Jiu-Jitsu masters on the way. Japanese master. They told about all the spirits, all the techniques, but I was not really touched by the way that they were moving. They had the kind of precise movements, and I could imagine myself after practicing that I can reach their level. So, despite of the fact that they have a high rank and they were old, I was not really touched by that. But somewhere in 1999, I met the head instructor, the Soke, the head instructor of Yagyu Shinkan School, which is a school which actually is using right now Yoroi, full armor, like Professor Kacem Zoughari explained here. And old person, Shimazu Sensei, he came in Paris for a seminar. I was very excited to meet him. The organizers, because they were not sure about their level of Japanese, they invited a Japanese native living in Paris in order to translate that. So I was, of course, very happy, very excited to meet this person who was supposed to come from a lineage of samurai warriors and everything. And the first surprise was when the Japanese native, who was a student in University of Paris, studying something like French literature or something like this. So at the moment that Sensei started to explain, he had a shock, and we can watch it on his face. Because before the lesson started, he was able to translate everything for the master. But when the lesson started, he was like in a shock because he was able to understand the Japanese language, but he could find no meaning in what the Japanese master said. So they had a small talk. The guy became red. He was ashamed. He said, you know, I practiced some kendo in my high school. You obviously are speaking Japanese, I understand Japanese, but what you say has absolutely no meaning. So that was also kind of shock for me because, of course, I can understand a little bit of Japanese, but I couldn't imagine that a native Japanese guy cannot understand what another native Japanese master will explain. So the guy excused himself like after 15 minutes. Maybe he stayed there, maybe he didn't stay in the dojo. And what I experienced was very different than with other masters. I could understand only little parts of the movement, and when putting together with my mind, with my experience that time, there was no result. Especially that master was like under 1 meter and maybe 55, I'm not sure. She wanted to say something like this. 1 meter 56, okay. So much older than me, and I really couldn't do anything, and I couldn't have the image of myself doing what he's doing because I didn't understand nothing. So that's what my first experience with old martial arts, with the old ways of using the body. That was my first encounter. What I left with that after that was I really wanted to follow the path that this master followed, and what I really understood is what I don't want to follow, meaning kind of modern techniques that you can understand, can really do it, but they have no meaning, and especially with the age, they lose the meaning. Several years later, in Serbia, I met Kacem. He was doing sorry. We were supposed to practice the same martial arts. He was speaking the same technical language like me, and unfortunately, I was not able to understand what he's doing. I understood the outside part of what he's doing, but inside everything was different. Like everything was connected, and everything was connected to a different kind of engine that I cannot understand. So it was like something from another movie. It was the same feeling that I had with Shimazu Sensei in Paris. Starting with that, my life took a different change, and I started to follow a different path in martial arts. And thanks to Kacem, my eyes were a little bit more open. Of course, I don't understand the things about martial arts, but it's not about understanding, it's about more practicing with the body. And you can speak about that, and you can write this kind of scrolls after the body really understands what's happening there. It's not about understanding with the mind, it's not about putting categories and making a kind of very logical explanation, because it's nothing logical. And that was my very short experience with really traditional classical martial arts and modern martial arts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The word that follow me is economy. And to link economy with body and body language is fascinating. So now the floor is open. Without economy, please ask. And I want all this to answer. Please.
So I have So I have a question regarding the Kamayo show. So what I've seen is that the scroll will give some information, like the type of environment where the technique was applied. Because if we have mud, the environment is inclined. If you are on rocks, you cannot apply the same the same technique.
Are you sure?
I mean, if you fight on the stairs, you cannot apply the same type of techniques if you
Fight on the stairs.
Yeah.
The 14th century.
No, I'm giving the contemporary parallel. On the stairs or in confined spaces, you don't use the same techniques that you use on the long range. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, what these details were missing. And another fact was when you had the flash, also that stand he was using. I wrote it down. Yeah, so when you build a technique, you have to build a technique not for one adversary, but for many adversaries. And there it was only one adversary, because on a battlefield you can be attacked by one, you can be attacked by 10. So your technique has to be not built like in sports for one man. It has to be for 2, 3, and in order to handle multiple attackers. So these are the 2 questions.
First is, he didn't wrote, and there is one thing you need to understand about scroll. It's a little bit something you can apply, for example, like texts like the Bible, Torah, Quran. And listen to me carefully. What is not writing is more important than what is writing. That's the first thing. Once you understand that, there is few things I should maybe clarify more. I said they were a warrior. Remember that. I said they were a professional warrior, which means
they had experience.
They had experience. So when you have experience, you don't talk about what is common between warriors. Fight against many, it goes without saying. You fight with spear, it comes from battlefield. Fighting the stairs is possible if you get in a castle. You need to check how Japanese castles are. You will see that the stairs are not the same as the Eiffel Tower or something else. That's one, it's not finished. They fight in mountain and valley. And one of the things you know is if you are under and is on the top, of course it depends on what kind of things. When you are under, it's easy to see. When you're on the top, it's easy to throw. The thing is, you need to use your body in a certain way. Here what they explain is how you need to use your body at the T moment of the attack. At the T moment of the attack. Which means you need to avoid, protect yourself, and attack at the same time. So it's attack and defense at the same time. So no matter what you are on the slot, or slot like this or slot like that, no matter what the position you are on horse or even you failing, your job is to minimize. So what does it mean? First, learn, practice, learn what you practice, practice what you learn, which means apply to people back in those days. And you survive on the battlefield. And it didn't say, but it's what it's writing, good luck. Good luck, because you're going to experiment it many things. It is true, you fight with many people, but on the many people, one's going to start. If they attack all together, it's the best teamwork, like in Chinese movies.
No, but I mean, there are multiple fighters or whatever.
Yes, multiple. For example, they are running, tack, 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 tack. For example, let's take two armies, they're running, alright? And at the moment it engaged, some's going to be touched. You can even be touched by your own opponent, etc., etc. That's why there is what we call a teamwork. And there is the ashigaru, the front full. Then after there is different levels. There is the cavalry, etc., etc. If you are surrounded, you need to run and put yourself in a certain area where there is tree, etc., where you can use that environment. There is two things you need to understand. The scroll explains how you need to practice and how to minimize the fact. The reality is your job. It's crazy how he said when there is many applicants, you have to do like this. It's impossible. It's impossible. For example, you take a computer nowadays or an iPhone or a smartphone. Well, most of the time it doesn't give you the manual instruction. But try to remember back in the days when you buy a video machine or a new TV, they give you a book like that. Huh? And on the book, what do you look? Most of the time nothing, just the fact of checking what you need for. And then when there is a problem, you check the book. Here it is. When there is a problem, you need to adapt yourself. And that's the idea. And a lot of things about classical martial arts which are not said, you need to know them. You need to be aware of them. That's your job. Now, if the teacher needs to explain you everything, we are not in classical martial arts, we are in sports martial arts, we are in things where, if there is one man here, you do that, if there is one man, you shut down the capacity of your protege or disciple to adapt and evolve. That's why the meaning of you, the meaning of you. Means to flow, means to involve, means to flow, means to keep on going, to keep on moving. This is just the beginning, just the start. Then, for example, when you're going to have to fight like this, you add something else. Maybe it's going to teach you, just the fact of being like this or being like that, to understand how your weight of your body, the shift of the weight of the body works, the unbalance. It tells you a lot about your unbalance. So then you become more wiser and wiser about how to use your balance in, for example, a flow which is completely different from if you are on the water, if there is tree, if there is rock, if you have to climb, etc., etc. And this, when you are a warrior, you don't need to talk about what goes without saying. It's logical. And that's what we mean by survival. And that's why people who add this, and after I invite you to watch, There are people who already saw experiments. And here he just told you what you should not forget, what you should always keep on practice, because him at a certain age, he reached that level, and that's what is important. Maybe you, with this, you're going to find another door, etc., etc. That, and your question is, I mean, the question you ask, for example, this is a question, for example, someone who never been involved into straw and things like that will ask him, which is logical. There is one thing about fighting with many people, and Ueshiba used this phrase, and it comes from a very old Chinese treatise. Fight one enemy, man or woman, like you fight many. Fight many, like you fight one.
Yeah, my observation was that in modern techniques, people build their techniques for one adversary.
Not here.
And when they make the transition to multiple adversaries, it's very cumbersome.
Yes.
You have to start the other way, build your technique for multiple people.
That's true.
And then train like that, because in reality you can be hit with
From behind, from everywhere, from a stone, from your own friend, you may even slide maybe above, anything. But that's the reason why when you practice this, awareness.
yeah.
It's for battlefield, not for alone. It's not for duel.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I think the question is very, very interesting to discuss about the change of mentality. Since what we are expecting today from education. Education to learn everything, every step, and we have to think in the 15th, 17th century, the people live in another paradigm. They don't have many time to discuss, to read, they have to survive. And I think it's very important that this scroll presents us the mentality of the people. They have only a short and essential information. Then, today we need many other things to be. I think in one of your interview you discussed about the difference between to educate and to cultivate.
Yes, the two things are very different. Just in order to respond to what you said and what the professor said, it is very important also to let the exploration. If you shut down, if you explain everything, you don't really explore. That's a very important thing. In that case, I'm not saying that master didn't talk, didn't explain the movement, but it is really difficult to explain something with word that doesn't exist yet. You're going to use a word that comes from Buddhism, from phenomenon things, plus the master is 60, he's talking to someone who is 30. There is a gap in the knowledge. There is a gap on many things. One wants to go fast, and the other says, take your time. You're 30, say, take your time, I don't have the time. Yes.
I think also some of this change in, I think my voice is here.
Yes, please, just for the report and
I think also some of the change in the body movement and manifestation happens because not just the Japanese society and warrior itself tended to minimize movements and expression to just the necessary. But also someone that, for instance, rides horses for a living, cowboy and whatnot. To someone like that, you don't need to explain the big VCR book how to ride the horse. They do it intrinsically. They're already one with the horse. And if you want to make them a better rider, you can say, never allow your butt to touch the saddle. And that, all of a sudden, for them, lights a bulb. So this is how you achieve the greater speed or the more mobility. It's the same with the illustrations that you were showing. They don't necessarily have to take you the long way to discovery. It's just a tweak. It's a simple making a small adjustment. You know, square yourself, minimize the target. It was obviously something that a warrior would understand and understand the benefits of.
Especially you use the word of horses, most of those warriors are wearing horses. So for example, draw a katana when you're on horses without cut the head of your horse. How you use your spear when you attack like this and suddenly you hurt your horse. You need to know horsing. You need to be one with your horse. So which means you need to have time to ride with him, etc., etc. We know also, of course, that writing about horses later on when you have time, because the technical words didn't really exist back in the days, we need at least few generations to read this. And sometimes when you start to beat, you're losing a little bit the relation with the reality, because it's very different. I mean, the way you ride a horse, for example, nowadays in Africa, or the way Indians used to ride a horse, was not like a cowboy. A cowboy did, of course, everything. Indian did. I mean, and that's very important thing. Same for running, same for many things. What you said is very true. And in case of the word, there is also one thing. Rather than explain, they try to copy. Because one of the very important meaning of copy is study. You learn by copy. So copy is an art. If you copy correctly, deeply, what you do become an expression of what you copy. And at that time, it is the same thing. You see a master, you see something great, you want to do the same because you're touched by what it did. There is something artistic, effective, right, correct, that touches you deep down inside. In the case of warrior, it's to feel fast.
And it's the same thing between the warrior which lives the life for that and someone who's doing the sport as a hobby.
Yes, it's true.
And you're doing many different things, and one of the many different things you do is the martial art. Obviously, that is not your life. It's a part of your life, but it's not your life. The 15th century warrior, that wasn't the life. It was the only life.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Because we need to change a little bit that image, thinking they were practiced from morning to night, etc. It's impossible.
No, but you took your stance also to the pub.
It's true,
You
but
took your stance also to writing.
it's true, but it depends on the character. If you look Musashi, it's not near you, and they are both well versed in the art, but both, for example, one have a family, kids, and put his family for centuries. One have no kids, nothing, and is a yuha, is a mess. So, sometimes what you establish, without wanting to establish something, maybe establish in the tea moment, it really expresses your life. So it depends on the character, it depends also on the aiming. For example, some wants to be at every cost an instructor and have fame, and other doesn't want to be known, they just want to practice and keep doing something. So it depends on the character. And some people, they're going to devote their life, no kids, no family, some even going to try to not have connection with women because they're going to feel this move them, and you can find this also in religious, etc. They're going to remove them from the actual path. And some are going to say to them, come on, man, you're human, you need to live, you need to do anything in order to understand things. So it's depends on the character. You have the extreme, you have the middle, you have some people who go to the extreme and going to find the balance. Some people will never find the balance. Some people do this even for the money. It exists already at that time. 16th century, you have a lot of dojo people doing for money. Some did just for defense, and some for a hobby. And hobby, you can do it nice like a sportsman, but you can never use in the real situation. So it's different. Already at that time, even me, at the beginning I was thinking they practice day and life, etc. Actually not, because they need to eat, they need to interact with the world. They need to interact with family. Sometimes they doesn't teach to family because they doesn't want to give away to the son that he cannot carry. That happened. And this is at the moment of the 16th century when things are going to be created as a monopole. The son is going to be put on the top because he has the family name, but not the actual skills. So we're going to put an instructor on the round who have the. So it depends on the character. It's not completely black and white, unfortunately.
Yeah, one question. I have this question which I can solve the next literature. It may sound a stupid question, but so what was the percentage of weapon techniques versus empty hand techniques? Because
on the battlefield?
In that era, because
which area?
The era, 15th century.
15th century, so it's between the Muromachi, so Sengoku Jirai.
Because, I don't see the point of using empty hand techniques when people carry weapons all the time. And the situation when they would encounter empty hand versus a weapon, it's, the guy with the weapon will always win 90%.
You have to take care of that. Here again, you see, first it's impossible to talk in percentage at that time. It is very difficult, if it's not impossible, to put a percentage at a time. Then after, what kind of warrior are we talking about here? People who have access, because you need to understand, there is different kind of warrior. There is the people from the field that you take on your army because they doesn't have the choice. They are part of your land. You give them whatever spear you have, which 90% of the case is a bamboo cut as a spear, on the front. If you win, and you see yourself good to that, you grew in the leather. If not, you die. Then after you have the people between, who have a little bit more money, better weapon, maybe few movements of martial art. Then you have the top, people who have access, who have the time, and can practice. Here you need to take care. Then after there is the situation. You need to understand one thing, like again, like I explained. They will never, for example, mutodori, the fact of using no weapon and face someone who have a weapon. They wrote about this, but they never explain how it works. Never explain how it works. Why?
I'm doing a parallel to the current time when people develop this empty-hand technique fighting versus knife.
And it's impossible to develop empty-hand. I'll tell you something very important. You cannot. This is impossible. Even in the logic of martial art, of military and things like that, it is impossible to face someone with a weapon if you don't have knowledge of the weapon before. Which means the mutodori, the way of using the empty-hand technique, goes automatically with the knowledge of the weapon. You cannot face someone who have a knife if you don't know how a knife cuts. For example, here it is. There is a story very famous, and this explains. Camille is the founder of Shintagaru, and most of us, we have no episode of them fighting hand-to-hand. And there is even words in the, you can find in very different literature book where they said, someone, they said, never do jujutsu, never do hand-to-hand fighting, because this is only pagan to fight like that, like wrestling. We are warrior, we use weapon. That's one tendency. Now we have the complete tendency. The complete tendency is you are a shogun. Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, Tokugawa Ieyasu, Takeda Shingen, etc., etc., or high-class daimyo. And you want the best instructor of technique weapon. You find him. And the only thing you ask him to teach you is how to face when you don't have weapon. This is strange. Look, you're a warrior, you always have your blade, but you ask, teach me how can I do when I have no weapon. And this is the logic of human. Once I have no weapon, how I do? Yeah, no, but you cannot run. And you cannot run. So here it is. Let me give you an example how this has been developed. Using the weapon allows you to understand all the parameters of the distance. So you start with a long weapon, and then suddenly the long weapon is cut or broke. You use what rest? A stick, no matter what the dimension. Then it's broke again, use again. Then you use your sword, it's broke. Then your short sword is broke. Then your sleeve or your. Then you cannot, you have, by practicing like this, you learn the distance. And you learn the distance through age. Through time. Then step by step, what you can do with power, you do with less power because you know your body better. What you can do with long distance, start doing with short distance. And this is how the Japanese civilization and most of the artworks, you do things in big and step by step it becomes Sony, Panasonic, etc., etc. So this is how it works. And then one day, for any reason, you cannot draw your sword, you lose everything, and the man is rushed to you. You walk and suddenly you have a weapon, it's a setup. The way you have educated your body to move with the weapon will come out. And you won't understand this because it's instinctive. And when you knock him down in a way you never see, because the way you hold the wrist is the same way you hold the weapon, then from that, if you have the wise end to remember what happened, you start saying, oh, it's the same. The way I use the weapon is the same with my hand. And from that moment, you understand that the weapon is the extension of your arm. And this, most of the top, they always want how I'm going to do when my front, my last guard, is down and my sword is broke and I am alone. How? Teach me. And at that moment he said, how do you know sword? How do you know speed? He said, "Man, I know, let's do it." So there is a true story. This is a true story. You heard about Tokugawa Ieyasu. Tokugawa Ieyasu is the last shogun, and the one who's going to set up his family for 2 centuries. That's what I call a true mafia boss. Alright? Okay? So he's 50, and Tokugawa Ieyasu is known. He is known to be the first general to be always on the front line. That's something. And each time he used to turn back to the other and say, "Where have you been during that battle?" He was really close with his men. So a general which is always on the front line. Someone who knows the fight. And he learned also from Kamizumi Sinokami, from one of the top students of Kamizumi Sinokami. We are in the 1500, exactly 70, almost before the Battle of Sekigahara. So 1604 as the Battle of Sekigahara. So he is close to Osaka. Hideyoshi is not dead. He needs to be there in order to help for the castle. And he heard, because he knows ninjas, he knows many things, he has wide people under his wing. He heard that someone called Yagyu Sekichisai received from Kamizumi Senokami the highest technique Butodo. He heard from the top students in the army. I never learned. That guy can do it, I learned it great. Okay, no problem. He called him with the son, "Come." Tokugawa is 50. Still, 50 at that time, you have to show that you're good. Sekichisai, 70. Like Mr. Burns in Simpson. Something like that. They arrive, and that's written. So, okay. So it's different kind of, they are both daimyo, but Tokugawa is Bill Gates. And the other, nothing. It's not for martial art, nothing more. The money, so they are face to face like that with the whole crew. Imagine castle like this, like a big, no snow. And there are this, and the Tokugawa said, "Please demonstrate." You need to understand that for Sekichisai this is very important. He knew that guy is the future. If he can put one of his sons instructor of him, he set up the family for good. See, warrior, yes, but don't forget the money and the family. Have kids, have 5 kids. So, he's with his son, Yagyu Menori, perfect demonstration. According Tokugawa. Is that right? Cool? No, not bad. Nice relationship, father and son. Cool. What do you do against your real sword? And Sekichisai, "Well, if you want to try, no problem." And Tokugawa, "There yes." Like Snoop Dogg, take the sword out, and they go. At the moment, so at 50, 70. So there is only one phrase about Yagyu said, because they asked him, how did he do to knock him down? Because he knocked him down in a way, even Tokugawa put the head, offered him incredible, very expensive sword and the money, and asked him to be student and to forgive him to have tried. And all around, once that happened, all the retainers. That's what Tokugawa wanted to keep Yagyu, because of course, if everyone knows this, back in the days, the gossip can kill. So, Yagyu, so the son, said to Sekichisai, he said like this: "The way he walked was strange. He looks like an old man, like a monkey. And at the moment he had a pop on the ground, without killing him. A real squadron, he made mistakes." Wow. So here it is. How Sekichisai, the second generation of Shikage, which is known in all his battle attempts to use only spear, end up without hand, without weapon. There is a lot of psychological aspect here. You need to show that you're weak. You need to let your opponent attack. You need to be aware of the angle and trajectory of the blade. And at the same time, you need to make him feel he's going to have you. Because if you change in the front of you, you have to go, oh, experimented guy, he changed. So you need to put yourself in a moment where you can match. No matter what, there is 1 or 2 or 500 people, it's the same. There is a moment where you can match, and a moment where you cannot match. If you show too much, people is going to be warm, your opponent is going to be warm, so what happens? He won't be full. He's going to wait. And that's the difference between sports martial art where everything is ritual and there is a way to play with rules, and one where please you have to give me and you need to try. And that's how the hand movement happens. The problem is when you start to develop this without the weapon, you lose the ground with the reality. And it becomes judo, it becomes modern day jiu-jitsu, it becomes what you can have in Krav Maga, etc. First thing you learn in Mutodori, it's going to be cut. First thing you learn, you need to catch the blade, even if you get cut. And this requires courage.
I've noticed that because there are a lot of schools that people, they train in life, but none of those people were in a real life. And the real life attacks are not any, they don't look like...
Of course. They come first very close.
Yeah.
Very close. And there is a word, when you saw it, it's already done.
Yeah, because nobody speaks of the knife.
The best way to look knife attack is what happened in jail, for example. They come fast, Now, if it's a professional, he's going to attack certain organs. You need to also understand that with the knife you cannot attack everywhere. If it's a stabbing, if it's a cut. There is many kind of things to know about the knife. It's the same with the blade. It even happens that once you stab, the blade can broke. And then there is parts. Some people have been stabbed 16 times and never died because the one who sticks was very violent, but he never deteriorated any kind of, and sometimes only one strike can work. It depends on the people, and it depends of course on one thing. Where are you? Who you know? Do you know knife? And between you and me, it's very dangerous.
I mean, also to be sure, most of the things that are on the market are not real.
No, of course.
And that's why I was asking.
Doing salad. Everyone in life, one day you cut just yourself a little bit. You go like this, then pull you stop. So imagine a real sport. You have time to stop, you cry. And all the people moving like doing shawarma or stuff like that. If you cut someone and the blood goes on your face, you stare. Now, that's reality. Human body, when you touch someone with a it's a reality.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Very important. This is very interesting in classical martial art, very important, and especially the world of warrior to look quick. It's very strange because among warrior you never look quick. Most of the time you show off. Bang, you walk, you barrage, you watch with the eyes, you try. And most of the warriors who did this, most of the time they are the ones who fell down. Unfortunately, the history is full of them. Yes, your question please.
Thank you for coming again.
Pleasure again, nice to see you.
In the presentation, you told us about yarn, and I understood that the techniques were developed by wearing yarn. Now you're talking about the weapon as an extension of yarn. So, which one is more important, or should we use armor or weapons in order to learn martial arts nowadays? I mean, wouldn't it be more efficient? Because if we would wear an armor, we would learn how to move by its nature.
This is a good question. Now, first of all, you need to understand that those warriors, they never sleep with armor or wake up with the armor. They wear the armor during the moment. It can be, for example, during the campaign, and during the campaign they stay with the armor. Sometimes remove just one or two aspects in order to wash themselves, go to the toilet or something like that. Now, that's one thing. And then there is the moment of the fight. And during the moment of the fight, you survive. Then you come back. At that moment, when you come back home, you remove the armor, you remember, if of course you like those techniques and things like that, how could I knock down that guy and I was in a position where everything was against me, I have no advantage. And you try to remember the way you use your body with the armor. So for that, what you're going to do, you're going to take the same attitude without the armor in order to understand. So maybe you wear the armor in order to remember what happened because you have to recollect the souvenir of the past of that movement. And that's how maybe it happened. Problem is, if you always need the armor to practice correctly, it's going to be a little bit hard. Swing, see how you move. Armor makes a lot of noise. So sometimes it's very difficult to move with. So you need to, and this is what means using the brain, you need to use the condition that the armor put on you, but without the armor. And that's the more complicated thing. When you wear an armor, you're going to be aware of many tension on your body. Spine, knees, etc. And you're going to have to practice lower. So, problem is, if you have enough money, it's good, you have many armor. But if you have only one armor, then you have to take care of it. You see? So, same with the sword. If you have money, you have many swords. But the history proved that most of the top warriors have at least two swords. One for the battlefield and one to present. And they always use a piece of wood for practice. Interesting. They never use a helmet to break. Maybe a helmet they find. They try to find something that is very close to the reality in order to recreate. And the best is to do it without the armor. So for that, you need to go lower on your legs and to recreate all the sensation you had during the battlefield, without, of course, the emotional tension. So for that, you're going to put data, you're going to try to do this on a certain floor, sliding floor, etc., etc. For the weapon, it's going to be the same. You cannot use the only weapon you have because you're going to damage it. And the moment you're going to you need it, it will be useless. So you're going to try to create in wood or anything something more heavy in order to develop your body and feel it more like this. Armor or not, it's the same. Long, heavy, short or light, it's the same. In other words, you understand that phrase. Kyo, Jaku, Ju, Go, Ado, Dekarazu, translation. Kyo, strength. You know everything about strength. You study the nature of the strength, the nature of the movement, what brings the strength in the movement, the strength in the mind, the strength everywhere. Then you study the strength in people. Okay? Alright. Then you study the weakness of the strength, how you develop the strength, how you create the strength, and how you annihilate the strength. Second word, Jaku. Jaku. Jaku is weak. What is the weakness? Study the weakness in you. Weakness can be the weakest point, the weakest part of the weapon, the weakest part of the armor, the weakest part of the movement. Then understand that an accumulation of weakness can be a strength, and an accumulation of strength can be a weakness. Then how you shift from strength to weak to strength. Finally, Ju, go. Ju, flexibility. Understand, study the nature of the flexibility. Create the flexibility. When the flexibility is a weakness, where is the strength? How can you show that it's a weakness, but actually behind this you have a strength? Finally, go. The power. Understand the power, how to generate the power, how to see the power, how to detect the power. Understand also that the power is not the strength. The strength is not the power. It can be powerful, but not be strong. Then, how to see the weakness in the power. Once you understand those four stages, in the fight, in the practice, in the human relationship, which is based also in human behavior, comportmental, etc., etc., you learn to shift from one to the other, which means same for the material, same for the practice. Once you have this, you don't use them anymore. You remove that. And this is called full of emptiness. You don't have intention, you don't use strength, you don't use the body in the way people use the body. When people, they are strong, you are weak. Then when they are weak, you observe them, etc., etc. So this, for that, in order to reach this, you need to experiment. And as a warrior, you experiment many things. Armor, light armor, heavy, maybe you carry someone, etc. And your memory recall. And your body memory recall. And one day when you practice, you remember the movement. When you remember the movement, you start to polish it and to work it.
Yes, I got that with the former summaries.
So from that,
you can recreate a better moment.
Look, if you think people in the past were more clever or more stupid than we are now, I mean, I didn't say think like that. But the thing is, for me, a samurai of the 16th century and a man of nowadays is the same. Let me explain why. Same color of the blood, 2 eyes, 1 brain. We are more lucky because we have access to more. Biomechanic, logic, book. The difference is it's not every day a killing game. Thanks God. Thanks God. But there is a certain place where you can try yourself. But anyway, once you understand that, it's how you're going to create the extreme, to go to the extreme tension of your body. Like a sportsman, for example, like someone who climbed the Everest, like someone who does something to the extreme. And by working in that extreme, moving with your body, etc., and keep the tension, so working the patience to be able to do this, you might reach something. I said you might, because it depends on many parameters. But you might, yes, you might. According to what I've seen some people in Japan who reach a certain level, yes, without using this armor or anything. But they practice with the condition of the armor. That's a very important thing.
Thank you.
I have the same question like you about training with arms or starting directly with empty hands, because I practiced Aikido for a long while in Europe with European masters, and when I reached a certain level, I still felt that something is missing. So that's why I took the opportunity in Japan to meet somebody, Master Machida, who when I asked him about Aikido and about continuing my practice, he asked me about sword. That was his only question. Of course, my sword level was low, so he said, direct, if you accept to practice sword, I will improve your Aikido, something like this. And I accepted this. I understand the history and the reason, the logical behind that. But in Europe, in Romania, it's a little bit hard to push the people to practice with a weapon, hoping that they will understand how to move with empty hands more correctly, that they will build a structure and stuff like this. So I tried to ask him, at one point, I asked him, Sensei, how can I start the students, make them understand Aikido? He said, very quick, you cannot, only by sword. I said, okay, let's attack the problem from a different point of view. He had a nephew. I said, Sensei, you have a nephew? Yes. And maybe he has a problem in the school, bullied by the others. He said, yeah, no good. You will not teach him Aikido? He said, I'm not sure, maybe yes. Okay, so I was happy. How are you going to start with him? With sword, of course, for at least 1 year. So that's the mentality in the old times.
So there is one thing about what you said. For example, in my case, I wear 3 times an hour. Starting, no? And for picture most of the time. First one thing in order to try how the movement works. But if, for example, you use the Japanese geta, so those kind of wooden shoes where you wear and they are off balance and you go lower. Just the fact of going lower and keeping your stance, few minutes, and moving like this, without standing up and keep the grip. Already this, because when you have an arm, it's easy. You understand? You do it and you remove. Then you lost what you did. You understand? Now we need to work in order that what we call the inner muscle record the movement. And here it becomes a daily life practice, the way you stand up, etc., etc. This, it's always, like they said, it's all about you. A good student needs to find all the way to find that in classical martial art. There is no like a receipt to become good. You see the master, you copy, you try to do the same. I mean, back in the day. For me, I think you have to experiment everything you can, as long as they are good.
I think to wear today a normal Italian.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that way it's real
and difficult to find one outside.
It's important if you find the spirit and you understand the spirit and recreate the spirit without an effort. I don't know if we are more lucky or not. Running water. But I'm still lucky in very dark. Yes. Other question? No problem.
Another question. So my last question is, for example, I think in judo, why the techniques are so long, when in the real application your technique has to be very short and very fast, and also you have to know only 5 or 6 techniques, like 500 techniques, because the situations you encounter, you have to be fast, and you have to have a very good response. So I've seen that techniques in ninjutsu are very long and very, I don't know.
So when you say you see all the technique of ninjutsu?
What I've seen, in demonstrations in YouTube and...
Alright, there is two things. You need to understand that there is teaching, public teaching, solo practice, and then application. It's two things very different. Then after you use sports word, you use very fast. I'm not moving fast. Because if you move fast, you use a lot of energy. And when you have, just for example, you take a seminar where you have to demonstrate the same technique on 20, 50, 60 people, 70 people. After 4 or 5, you're dead. It's like, for example, you box. For example, you're boxing, you see someone who teaches box, a coach. He takes only 2 people and he keeps the arm just for 1. Even if he does this for 20, he's dead, physically speaking. So that's the first thing. Second, you think about fast, me, I think about accuracy and flow.
Accuracy, you have to be accurate.
Yeah, you have to be accurate. And accuracy is not about fast. It's about flow and precision. Because most of the time when you're fast, it's very difficult to be precise. Very difficult for human being.
It depends on the methodology, but if you practice technique on different levels of speed, you start slow, you improve your balance, and your technique, you start faster, and you have another range of speed and equipment until you reach a certain level of expertise where you will move and maintain the whole package. And,
I don't practice with speed. Never. I practice slow. Very slow. Very slow and very low. And I'm in the flow. Now, let me tell you, if I practice with speed, the speed I have today will be different tomorrow. Do you understand that? Because speed is based automatically on the explosion, explosivity of the muscle, etc. I prefer use the speed that doesn't require a kind of trigger. Because if I move fast, my opponent will react fast. If I move strong, he will react strong. I'm always thinking that the one in front of me is 10 times better than me.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. More than sure. And first, the way I'm going to practice, I'm going to make the movement because you need to teach your body to not understand, but to sense how it works. Because when you're getting older, you cannot use the body the same way, but at the same time, you need to improve the flexibility and at a certain time, the health of the movement. Because a good technique is a movement technique that refreshes itself and works against anyone, no matter what the style. So for that, I prefer wait. I'm waiting, I go slow, and I move in a way he cannot understand. That's what I aim. I'm going to move in a way he can't see me. He see me, yes, of course, I'm not Spider-Man or invisible. I'm going to move in a way he cannot understand the movement. If I move fast, the human body, the reflex is to respond too fast. Even if you don't see it, you will react. I don't want him to react in a way he goes against me. And why? Because I know that zero risk doesn't exist. So the only thing, I'm going to move always in order to minimize the risk. And this is the first thing you learn in classical martial art. Combo is like attack and defense in the same time. I accept the fact I'm going to be hurt. I accept the fact that he's going to touch me. I'm accepting the fact that I'm losing the balance. There is no guarantee. So, slow, low in the flow. I don't confuse the flow with speed. I don't confuse effectiveness with violence or brutality. Effectiveness, the effect I'm looking for that works. So it's a different view. Now, what you look, for example, when you see a demonstration of ninjutsu or whatever, you look this from your own filter. From what, for example, you practiced before. Maybe if it's a sports martial art or a koryu or a kobujutsu or a mix of them, and first do your experimentation and your experience. But then when you experiment face to face and you try, and you feel, at that moment, this is where you, how he did, I don't see, did he use strength, he was there but he's there. It's, what you need to create is that it cannot read you. Speed can be read, fast can be read, muscle activity can be read. I want a movement that gets rid of those tensions. For that, the only way is to move slow. Because if you move with speed, I tell you again, once again, and try with speed, it's good. But it's very difficult to be. When you have a katana, for example, or a speed, you can move fast, and you will move fast. The problem is the speed will influence the quality of the move.
I agree with that, but what I was saying is to start slow, get a good balance and also posture your movement. Then you increase slowly, incrementally your speed by adjusting the quality of your balance.
Yes, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Until you reach a natural state of you can vary on this range of speeds by maintaining your balance and your quality of the movement.
Good.
So that's what I was saying. But my question is, I don't want to offend anybody. But
No, I'm not offended at all.
I just try to answer. There are many techniques that are used that they don't have any application with your head. Because, for example, a lot of
I will never do it. I don't do judo. Yes. I will never do it. I never do it.
I mean, for example, the real life applications that are used in police only to maintain. So they have special applications.
Yes, I understand. But you need to understand things. There is technique created for public at a certain moment of the history when, for example, in Japan, judo, you met many people who do judo. At that moment, you use those kind of technique. The problem is, if you think that this technique works only for that, and you cannot go beyond that, if, for example, you do technique only against judo, when you fell on someone who punched, it doesn't work. Okay. Now, this is the problem. The same technique you do in judo needs to work on someone who punched no matter what, or kick no matter what. And if you cannot find that, it's not ninjutsu.
Because there are other techniques that you don't see a real pattern attacks like
the problem is, you need to give me a name of the technique and a name of the river.
For example, if you have a grab on the hand.
Well, you know what? You used to attack at the same time. Here, you need to understand that you confuse two things. You confuse teaching and fighting. Teaching and fighting is very different. There is a technique you're going to teach because there is people who come and never learn, so you need to explain them a certain pattern, a certain structure. And then after there is the fight. In the dojo, you don't learn to fight. You learn how to use your body first and to beat your body. Let's hope you don't have to fight, because you will not use the dojo technique for sure. Yes, but the problem is you need to give me the technique, the name of the technique, in order to answer. Because you said the ninjutsu technique.
No. I don't know the Japanese term. For example, in Arte or in Jiu-Jitsu, you have grabs. You have.
Yes, they grab and do the technique.
Nobody reality does that.
No, don't say no. In the reality does this, because there is, you can watch on YouTube, some people can jump on you, can grab on you. There is, sometimes the reality is not the reality we think we know. And if you grab, for me there is no difference between grabbing, punching. Listen carefully. Going for a punch, going with a weapon, and going to grab. As you can see, the results change, but the process is the same. Now, what should do you at the key moment when it happens? It depends. But the process is the same. It needs to step. It needs to come at you. It needs to be on the sphere. If it grab or punch, if you don't know, for example, that you go just good for punching. When you fell on someone who knows how to grab, you have a problem. If you're good only on grabbing, when you fell on someone who punch, you have a problem. If you're good only on weapon, when you don't have weapon, you have a problem. And this is the problem of limitation. You need to practice any kind of figure. Any kind. Even something useless, you need to see it in order to say it's useless. And you need to see it in a time. If you say it's useless now, maybe in 20 years it's going to be useful. That's why you have to study. And even on something useless or the ceremonial, something is hidden. Maybe something you need to explore in order to use your body, a mechanic, a way to use the biomechanic, a way to read. For example, you take Wiccan or a sticky hand. No one fight like this in the street. I agree. But this is used in order to develop a certain sensation. This sensation, for example, in Kendo, in Kenjutsu, they used to match the two swords like that. Right? They used to match the two swords like that. Same in fencing. On guard, 1, 2, 3. And then they step. And they wait. At the moment they touch here, fraction of a second, the movement needs to be done. But for this, you have to develop the sensitiveness. The problem is when you get attached too much to something that should allow you to be free. That's the problem. What you explain also is the problem of kata. Kata sometimes too stiff. If you practice always A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, one day you fell on someone who does B, C, D. Yeah. If you practice too much music classic, and one day someone arrives with another rhythm, but still classical, or use the classical rhythm, but in a rap way. How you do? You said it's not music? No, it is music. A different way to do the music. That's it. Now, if you can adapt yourself, good. If you cannot, you don't practice martial art. You do sports martial art. So it's all about, first, the one who teach you, how you learn, how you practice, how you apply. Then how you learn from him, how you copy, how you apply.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. No, you don't offend me.
Many techniques people play when they take a break attack, it doesn't work. So
I don't want to say it doesn't work. In order to it doesn't work, it depends who, it depends how, it depends. You know, sometimes you can fall on someone very stupid to catch you, grab you. Yeah? Everyone on the street, they are not professional killer or special people of nerve or knife assassin or assassin creed or ninjas. Yes, or professional. Sometimes you can just on someone who just want to grab you because, and you know, someone under a certain act of violence will act crazy. 90% of the technique doesn't work when someone is crazy. So you have to be very, very precise or crazy.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a question not of faith, but a question of understanding, of remembering the experience, and of experience, of experience.
Yes.
Myself, and it's a question of, I think, of philosophy. And I understand very well that you are very, very keen and with an economy of words. Not to say very much. They say the essential, the spirit, and if you cannot understand the spirit that lies behind, so don't do that and that.
Yes, I mean, this is a very good question because when you practice like this, you develop a vision of life. Like most of the people who practice martial arts, sports, or even a painter, even an artist, he will develop a vision of life based on what he likes, what he doesn't like. A religious develop a vision of life. And you provide a vision of life, and this provides also a way of life. So, for example, you're going to work in a certain way, you talk what you can call an ethic. It provides a certain ethic. Certain ethic can be good for a time, and then you can change, and then they are movable, flexible, stiff, whatever. It's true. It creates a certain. I don't like to use the word philosophy because it's. I mean, yes, if you need the understanding like the wisdom. Yes. There is a wisdom.
Yes. And please try to apply to the real life, to the everyday life, this kind of according to
Yes,
the practitioner,
just
strength, weakness,
yes,
patience,
yes,
love, and everything. Love, and right?
love, because I mean, you love, you hate. You start to love and suddenly you hate. So it goes on, and love hurts too. Someone who never loved, never feel hurt or pain, it goes together. Just to report for something very important. If your practice, I just said this yesterday, if your practice is not practical, because in the word practice you have the word practical. Question your practice or question what you learn. If your practice is not practical, if what you learn is not practical, you don't earn it. That's why in the word learn, you have the word earn. You learn, you earn. You cannot earn what you didn't learn first. It's impossible. For giving money, you have to work. So you learn, you earn. So if your practice is not practical, and those people, what they were looking for is practical. Now it's how you want it is practical. Long term, short term, depend on you, depend on the time, environment, context, things like that.
So, thank you very much. But now we want to invite you for a photo group photo.
Yes,
Group photo on this side here, and another question? So the last question, please.
Sorry,
Please. Okay, the last question, and then please start to
Yes, you want to check the scope.
Yes, take the scroll, the first.
Were there any advantage using those old styles combined with the modern ones? Are there any big advantages in the old schools, in the old movement, combined with the modern ones, the sport? Like, for example, speed or...
Yes, both have advantages, the advantages according to the period you live and the people you find. I mean, you need to understand the advantage of today can be the disadvantage of tomorrow. Let's just give an example. You're all aware of the transistor. Transistor at the beginning of it was huge, big, first computer. Remember the first computer? For the people remember the first computer? It was huge. And they were and monochrome. You tap like that, no answer, things like that. And step by step, look what it becomes. You remove what was an advantage at the time is a disadvantage now. But sometimes the advantage of that time was that it can stay long time. It was strong and you do it for a long time. Now you do it very cool, very nice, very fancy, but only for 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, and after you can remove and you buy another one. So there is advantage, of course. For me, the advantage is about health. If a master reaches a certain level with a certain age and maintain a certain body health, flexibility health, mind health, and the movement is nice and I recruit sexy, which means aesthetic, touchy, well, that's a great advantage. Now if he doesn't have this, and you want to do, in long term. Great advantage is long term. Short term, that's what I think. I think there is, of course, there is disadvantage everywhere. There is a lot of things you practice in the 16th century, we don't need to practice now. And this is the headmaster of the Yuva, the one who practices, who needs to understand it, to measure, not to judge, to measure, to ponderate what he receives and see if he can fit the time. Obviously, it's difficult to live at the time of our parents. And obviously, for our parents, it's very difficult to live in our time. If you ask me, do you want to go back to the 16th century? My answer is, hell no! No Wi-Fi, no music, not Michael Jackson back in the day. I'm gonna die. I'm happy where I live, with the people I live, in the time where I live, and I accept the difficulties, the advantage and the disadvantage. But I try to use, and that's a whole saying, the intelligence of the past and the heart of the present. I'm living here. So here, when I use what in the past was good, I try to apply now. It's a positive value or added value. That's what I think.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for coming here as a faculty of history. Thank you, Dr. Zoughari, thank you, Professor Laiber, and also thank you very much to Mircea and to all our team. You see our young generation there, and thank you very much for all the help. And for any other details, please follow our page or our master, the Master of History, Arte de Mentalities Culturii de Master. Please follow on Facebook our page, and you will see other events we are preparing. If everything goes okay, probably for December, we'll prepare another event with Aristodolescu, and we'll try to organize movie evening with Japanese film before the Christmas. It will be a very special and festive event with Alice, who is a very good specialist in anime and Japanese culture. So thank you very much to everybody coming here staying here with us. Thank you. And
this one is a little bit, yes, this one is 160.25.